Now, if you live at the bottom of a canyon and a summer storm causes a flood, is it bad luck or is it the state's fault? Matt Grubbs introduces us to a man who insists the state is ruining his home and his business. Here's his special assignment.
Some places in New Mexico, the water carries memories.
Grandmother started, and then my mom and dad.
Its ebb and flow washes over lives.
I know, watch it. Come up here since I was 4 or 5, and I think this is about 9 or 10 years in a row.
For nearly a century, for hundreds of families, the Tall Pine Resort along the Red River has been one of those places.
A place where you can just kind of go ground yourself and kind of look back on life and see what it's about. So we enjoy it, every minute of it.
I'm on 5th generation on some families.
When Richard Green and his late wife,
And so when Linda and I got married, first place she brought me was here.
bought the resort in 1991,
This was her dream.
they soon realized they had a problem.
Dirt, rocks, mud, branches.
A culvert running under the state highway that snakes along the canyon wall above their property gets clogged. In a big storm, it can come down all at once.
What the? It was everywhere. Tore up the road, tore up everything.
That happened 3 years ago, and it's been happening with the big storms since.
You're looking through a 5-foot wide culvert, and when it looks like it does right now, everything seems to work pretty well, but Richard says that the problem is it doesn't look like this very often.
Green blames the State Department of Transportation.
Well, they should have been liable when that thing was plugged, because that was a maintenance problem.
Waiting for a storm to burst the debris free and flood his land isn't a maintenance plan, Green says.
And why should I have to pay for all this stuff when it's their fault?
Mud is caked on the ground around the closest cabins where guests and maids have been stranded during floods.
That's crazy. But I got to do something because I got guests in here and I got to protect them.
He just brought in a backhoe to clear the ditch across his land.
Now, this probably is going to cost me $4,000 just for what I'm doing right now out of my pocket.
Green knows that trickle of cash can quickly become a torrent, and he has other stuff to spend money on, the wish list he just found of improvements his wife wanted to make.
And now my staff's telling me, slow down. Can't do it all at once. Well, I pretty much tried to.
Looking through her things, he found a newspaper article, too, that he'd never read.
And she thanked me for making her dream come true. For buying this place.
He isn't about to watch it wash away.
So what do you guys want to look at?
Green has asked the state to take care of its culvert and the drainage system near the bridge along Highway 578.
You can tell that gutter over there is totally full of crap. They haven't cleaned that either.
What's more, Green wants the state to admit it should be clearing the ditch on his land, too, where the water runs from the culvert down to the Red River.
I'm going to have to dig that thing out.
But the DOT won't say it built the ditch across Green's land. It told us in a statement. It told Green in a 2012 letter, and again on the day we visited, that it won't help him.
We cannot get on private property. We cannot come do anything on your property, okay?
Green gets how some people might see his predicament.
Look, buddy, your property's at the bottom of a canyon. You gotta expect some flooding and mud and things like that.
Yeah, but you know, it didn't start happening until they put this road in.
The department wouldn't interview with us. It couldn't prove it's been cleaning out the culvert, but it has cleaned out the drainage ditch to the bridge above Green's property. And it's building another drainage channel nearby.
If you look over here.
But Green is on his own when it comes to clearing the ditch below that 5-foot culvert. A trickle of water through his wife's dream property, writing another story. And Richard Green already knows how it will end.
If they don't help me do something, I can't afford to do it on my own. And I'll be fighting it and fighting it and fighting it, and it's going to flood.
In Red River, Matt Grubbs, KRQE News 13.
Jobs are hard to come by. The state of New Mexico has hired a man with an unusual background. They're taking a chance on him, and his hiring is bound to stir debate. Here's News 13's Kim Holland on special assignment.
It's coming off the grill now. It's good. Would you like salads?
The state has never done it before.
No, JoJo's working on the grill. It sounded a perfect opportunity for me. Drop your sweet fries yet?
David Van Horn is the first.
We're missing a pair of tongs.
If it works out, he won't be
everywhere.
the last.
Had people searching the trash.
Van Horn works in the kitchen at the state pen in Santa Fe, serving cadets and staff.
Just the sauce. I want to see a program like this succeed. Double green chili cheeseburger.
He's blazing a trail that could have far-reaching consequences.
When you know that what you're doing could possibly make a change in people's lives and could possibly make a change in our society as general.
The Department of Corrections just hired him as a contract worker
I need someone to write them up first.
to be the prison's lead cook supervisor.
And I'm going to ask the business community to be open-minded to hire these folks. But if I'm not, how much of a leader am I?
All right. If you don't hear from them by 1, I'll call them.
But Van Horn is not just any worker.
The day I walked out of prison, it was very anxious.
He was an inmate, hired back at the place where he was once locked up.
We shouldn't. We're serving chili rellenos today, so.
Van Horn has called the state pen in Santa Fe home for the past 2 decades. He's the first ex-convict the state has directly hired back.
Yeah, it's cutting some ground.
Corrections Secretary Greg Markentel took a chance on him for this pilot program.
To make sure that we are leveraging a transition for them back into the community to reduce the probability that they ever create another victim.
And Van Horn did leave a trail of victims.
And then to have this violence.
And sometimes it's like a movie inside your head. And you see all these things happening again, and you want to stop them because you know what's coming next. You want to hit pause, you want to hit rewind, and you can't stop it.
Also arraigned and charged with murder, David Van Horn. He's 20 and from Arizona, too.
In May 1995, Van Horn was 20 when he and a 23-year-old woman terrorized the small town of Verdun in southwest New Mexico.
Here as cops canvassed the village for
He ransacked a home, then burned it while an elderly married couple was inside, killing the wife. He just recently finished serving his 20-year sentence. The victim's son told us he hoped Van Horn would stay in prison forever.
I'm not who I was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I was, self-centered, an addict, because I knew if I left prison the exact same way I came in, there's nothing good was going to come of it.
Van Horn promises he's a much different man now. Secretary Markentel says he's seen it. This is a violent criminal. His past history has really played a big role in this.
The best prediction of future is past. And you can look at his disciplinary record and we know that he hasn't tried to do those things. We've watched him closely as an inmate.
I learned to make these in prison.
While Van Horn served his 20-year sentence for the murder, he says he took part in inmate programs, counseling, and got 2 associate's degrees. He made and sold jewelry and gave the proceeds to the Ronald McDonald House.
That if I'm going to succeed at the end of this, that I had to start making changes.
He believes he walked out of prison on May 28th, a new man.
For 20 years, I held on to an identity. And when I got to the end of my sentence, I wasn't sure how to shake that. Because my identity was my crimes.
And Van Horn entered a world he didn't recognize.
The internet didn't exist in its current form when I went to prison in 1995.
This is a chicken.
The world he did know was here in the kitchen where he worked while he was locked up.
So I gotta see what I have to order.
He's grateful to be a part of the program that will now help him transition into his new life. Van Horn will be on probation for 2 years. The state will monitor his every step.
Where's Gibbs?
It will also be watching his career path to see if the state could expand the program and give other convicts opportunities they might not otherwise get.
To be brutally honest with myself, who wants to hire somebody that was in prison for 20 years on a murder case?
Thank you.
Kim Holland, KRQE News 13.
Now, the Corrections Department is paying Van Horn $17 an hour from a fund that comes from inmates selling furniture, jewelry, and vegetables. Now, that's a lot more than rookie corrections officers make. Van Horn is a contract employee and is not considered a state worker, though, so he does not get state benefits that the other public employees do.